Okay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would request that I read a statement on the issue of the pricing of fertilizer in the country.
Now start with Kura.
No, at least there was some correction on that one.
So you are not going to read that one
yes,
today?
Yes.
It's deferred?
Yes, deferred.
Okay, I have your other statement, which is the one on the price of fertilizer. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Request for statement on the price of fertilizer in the country. Madam Speaker, I raise pursuant to Standing Order 48-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on the escalating price of fertilizer in the country. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain the measures, if any, put in place by the Ministry of Agriculture to address the escalating prices of fertilizer which has risen from approximately Kenya shillings 2,200 per 50 kilo bag in the last 3 months, and now to retail between, as at now, is retailing between 4,500 to 5,000 Kenya shillings per 50 kilo per bag. So that is an increase, Madam Speaker, of more close to around 3,000 plus. Madam Speaker, number 2, state why the government has failed to provide subsidies on fertilizer and other farm inputs, thereby causing a rise in the cost of food production, thus threatening to make farming an unprofitable venture. Number 3, Madam Speaker, spell out measures put in place by government to stabilize fertilizer prices and lower the cost of food production. And Madam Speaker, as you are aware, fertilizer is not only used in planting of maize, but also used generally in growth of crops, including tea, coffee, and many other, Madam Speaker, and lower the cost of food production in order to ensure the country is food sufficient. And finally, Madam Speaker, explain why the government has failed to cushion farmers during the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic period, which has impacted negatively on both farm gate and market price for agricultural produce, Madam Speaker, and this will even affect the planting season of 2022 if the pricing retains at more than 4,000 to 5,000 per 50 kilo bag. Initially, Madam Speaker, 3 months ago, it was 2,300 per 50 kilo bag of fertilizer, be it DAP or any other form of fertilizer, Madam Speaker. Therefore, I thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Inima Gertrude Musurube. Again, let's go 3 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And I congratulate Senator Cherargei for coming up with this statement on fertilizer. Honorable Speaker, it is very clear that Kenya is among the signatories of the international treaties that support, farmers, agriculture, and all that. And it is absurd that fertilizer can go high perpetually, because if fertilizer is high, it doesn't matter how hard working farmers are. If they have not used the fertilizer on their produce, then they will not actually get good yields. So there is need to encourage our farmers because of the important role they play, especially when it comes to food security, Honorable Speaker. We keep talking about food security, but this must start with our farmers, Honorable Speaker, so that we encourage them. So I want to state, Honorable Speaker, that nutrition is key, nutrition is important, and there's need for the right committee to interrogate this issue and ensure that when it comes to fertilizer, it is even given freely by county governments, Honorable Speaker, so that farmers are encouraged to plant. Remember, farmers also get their money from there. They have school fees to pay. They have children to take to school. They also need to sustain themselves. They have hospital bills and all that, Honorable Speaker. So I support this statement, and I hope the right committee will actually do what is rightful for the farmers. Thank you. I support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Nderitu John Kinyua.
Asante sana Bi Speaker kunipa fursa hii. Na taarifa iliyoletwa siku ya leo na Senator Cherargei, ni kweli mambo ya mbolea imekuwa kizungumkuti katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, kwa sababu ukiangalia bei yake imeongezeka maradufu. Na ilhali ukiangalia wakati huu, Bi Speaker, ugonjwa wa corona umewaathiri watu wengi kwa njia ndefu sana. Kwa hivyo hawezi wakajimudu hata kununua ile mbolea. Na mbolea ndio inahitajika kwa kupanda chochote ambacho unataka kupanda, ndio uweze kupata mavuno bora. Bi Speaker, kamati ambayo itaangalia haya mambo iangazie kwa kindani, ndio tuweze angalau kuwapa wakulima wetu afueni. Kwa sababu ukitembea kama Laikipia, watu wanaopanda mahindi, wanaopanda ngano, wanaopanda hata nyanya, wanategemea mbolea. Na bei za hii mimea bei za mimea yenyewe haziongezeki, lakini kile ambacho kinahitajika ili kukuza hii mimea inaendelea kuongezeka. Kwa hivyo wakulima wetu wanaendelea kusononeka, wanaendelea kuwa na shida nyingi. Kwa hivyo, Bi Speaker, kamati iangalie haya mambo kwa kindani na iweze kuwapatia angalau afueni wakulima wetu, kwa sababu ukulima ndio uti wa mgongo wa maendeleo katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Nchi yetu inajulikana kwa sababu inategemea ukulima. Bi Speaker, ikiwa kamati yetu haitafanya hivyo, tutaonekana kana kwamba, Bi Speaker, sisi tumelemewa na kazi ambayo tunapaswa kufanya. Tuwasaidie wakulima, na tukisaidia wakulima tutakuwa tumeongeza uchumi wa nchi yetu kwa marefu na mapana. Asante Bi Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Murkomen. Onesmus Kipchumba.
Madam Speaker, you remember there was an old man when we were in Eldoret in 2018 in your county, who said, Cherargei and Kipchumba sungumza mahindi. The truth is that the question of subsidies for agriculture and specifically fertilizer for purpose of maize farmers and to some extent tea farmers and the other farmers, but particularly insofar as maize farmers is concerned, has been a very sad story, because this government, in its second term, deliberately, Madam Speaker, decided that they were not going to continue the subsidy program for fertilizer for maize farmers. And it's a very sad story, because the people this government is punishing, like Orengo said some time back, are those who voted for this government more than anybody else. And Madam Speaker, after doing all this injustice to the maize farmers, the same people who have done injustice to the maize farmers are now running a political campaign to say, oh, the leaders from the North Rift, the leaders from Uasin Gishu, Trans Nzoia, Nandi, Elgeyo Marakwet are not speaking for farmers. But Madam Speaker, what a paradox. This government was elected by the people of Kenya to serve Kenyans. How come when an issue is touching maize farmers, it is turned to be a local problem to be resolved by Senator Kamar, Senator Murkomen, or Senator Cherargei, or whoever else? But when it comes to other sectors of the economy and farming, it is a problem of the ministry and the government of Kenya. Is there another president for North Rift? No. Madam Speaker, we want to be treated like any other part of the country in terms of protection of farmers. And we want the ministry to explain why, despite the fact that they used to now blame all these other people, now that they have a proper, strong hold of the ministry itself, how come the fertilizer prices have gone higher instead of coming low? The people of Rift Valley are crying for the days of President Mwai Kibaki and William Ruto as his minister, when the fertilizer prices were 1,800. But now we are talking about fertilizer prices that are 4,000, 5,000. This is terrible. And Madam Chair, I hope the chair of the Agriculture Committee will come with a good answer, and the chair also of Agriculture in the National Assembly must be held into account together in finding an answer to this problem. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Kavindu Mutama, online. Senator Kavindu, online.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now hear you. We want to see your face also.
My face. Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to join my fellow senators to congratulate Cherargei for this very important statement of to say that
The
this
control room is not picking her
fertilizer
photo. Please try and pick her photo. Yeah, continue while we are picking your photo.
Speaker, I'm saying it is very important for the fertilizers prices to be reduced so that the farmers can also gain in whatever they are doing, and especially those farmers who even just do farming for selling the crops so that they can have something to use. Actually, Madam Speaker, majority of the people who go and buy the produce from the farmers end up gaining more than the farmers because they put a lot of money on fertilizers and even cultivating the shambas and everything, that even when they sell their produce, they get nothing out of it. And that is why they effort is to produce in country to be able even to feed itself. That's why we end up buying food from outside the country. When in Kenya, we can produce enough maize to be eaten by the people here. Even majority of the coffee farmers and tea have neglected coffee and neglected tea simply because of they cannot afford fertilizers. So, Madam Speaker, I support this statement by Senator and say that the government must do something to reduce the prices of fertilizers. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support.
Thank you, Kavindo. We would like to inform you that we are not able to see your photo, and yet we are expecting you to read your statement after this one. Please look for a more favorable place. The control room is not able to pick your photo. Senator Milgo Alice Chepkorir.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this chance to also speak to the issue of fertilizers, and I want to thank the Senator for Nandi County for coming up with this statement. Madam Speaker, when we talk about the fertilizers, we are talking about food, and particularly to ensure that we have food security, we must ensure that there is fertilizer to produce food. Madam Speaker, areas that used to be food baskets to plant maize and any other crops that used to be to add to the food in this country. Madam Speaker, when the prices of fertilizers escalate to the tune of over 4,000, we are actually declaring that Kenya shall become a food relief country throughout the time. Yet we can be able to manage this and ensure that our people get food, because issues of food will go a long way, even to affect health in terms of growth, even in children and even in most people, because we normally talk about balanced diet. But right now, without the fertilizers to grow the crops, we find that farmers have actually given up. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, issues of fertilizer has been a thorn in the flesh. And this is one of the issues that we've been speaking about, and we have been saying taxes on issues related to crops, issues related to agriculture should be lowered to ensure that with fertilizers and other farm implements are received in this country at an affordable price. Madam Speaker, as I'm speaking right now, fertilizers have affected majorly the Rift Valley, that has been the food baskets. And in most cases, that is the area that was affected by what you are calling yellow maize streak. And when farmers even got a relief recently, when that disease was not seen, what happened is that maize and other crops were planted without fertilizers. Madam Speaker, I think it is a high time, and I want to believe that this committee that is going to look into this will go to the root cause of this to ensure that we are able to bring fertilizers at an affordable price so that we are able to feed our people and therefore be able to ensure that our country is developing. Madam Speaker, while it is, I will not.
Senator, please, yeah. 1 minute, have a minute in fact.
Okay, have a minute. I want to thank the head of state because during the Mashicha Day, he declared that there will be 1 billion for fertilizer subsidy, and then 1.5 that is for maize farmers and tea, and then there is 1.5 billion for coffee farmers. And I hope the people concerned will take up this very seriously so that that one is implemented, and I'm sure this will be a relief to our farmers. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Milko. Senator Professor Ongeri, online.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me the opportunity to contribute on this very important topic of fertilizers in this country. Without fertilizers, the obvious end result would be food deficit. And with food deficit, the consequences of it will be additional importation of the foodstuffs from outside the country, which will then become much more expensive than would have been anticipated. It is therefore timely at this stage that the national government, alongside with the county governments, because the agriculture is a devolved function, should come out expeditiously with a policy of subsidy, because we cannot talk of anything else less than a subsidy at this stage, and a subsidy which can come in immediately, not in the near distant future. It should come immediately because the productivity of any products in this country will hinge alongside the quality of the fertilizers that farmers have. They have not also been taught to go into organic farming, which is equally important in this exercise, that we have got to blend the two aspects of it. But you know, organic farming will depend upon the number of cattle you keep and the cow dung that you collect from various sites, which can become also very cumbersome and expensive. For now, the easiest way is an emergency as far as I'm concerned, because food sufficiency is the most vital element for any government to ensure that the citizenry of this country are well catered for in terms of food supply. And the only way you can ensure that and reassure people is to be able to get enough maize grown, enough beans grown, wheat grown, enough wheat grown, and also the fertilizer for other catch crops like coffee, tea, and other related factors. Right now, the yields in tea production are extremely low, particularly in Kisii. The bonus was very low, and the farmers are crying out for enough fertilizer. What they have brought in is just a paltry 1 or 2 bags to the ordinary farmers who are worried about the next production and the next bonus which comes next year. And therefore, it's an emergency and should be treated as such. I thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me this opportunity to contribute on an area which I feel is very important for our country, for our farmers, and for the ordinary peasants who are looking for something to eat on their table. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kihika. Susan Wakarura.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me congratulate Senator Cherargei bringing this, which is extremely timely, given that the backbone of this country is really agriculture. And actually, when I talk for my county, it's really the main thing that most people do is farming. So over the years, the price of fertilizer has really just shot up as the subsidies have been taken away. I would also be very curious to know why the subsidies are no longer there. Why, as a government, that cannot be a priority given how many people agriculture feeds. Agriculture is really just the backbone. And without this subsidized fertilizer, then the cost of food production really becomes high. And not just the fertilizer, by the way, but farm inputs as well. And without helping our farmers, many of whom I would dare probably guess a very high percentage of the farmers have very small acreage. And without proper or good fertilizers and farm inputs, then they spend the whole year working very hard, cultivating, planting probably even very, very weak or very inferior seeds. And then without fertilizer, at the end of the day, whatever they harvest cannot even really, they don't even break even. So what has then happened is agriculture becomes unattractive for most Kenyans. Most Kenyans are unable to even put their kids through school. Now we have seen the rise of all these text messages as members of parliament asking for school fees. Bursaries can barely support the children in school. And so it sort of just affects very many other factors of life or very many other areas of our lives in the country. So we want to know why the government has failed to provide this, why it has failed to make it a priority in as far as prioritizing what the government does for its people, and why, if for so many years this was the case, why suddenly it's not, the government does not think that it's important and that it should be done. And once this is resolved, I would also hope that we are able to reinstate reinstate and provide subsidies on fertilizers and other farm inputs so that we can get our farmers where they need to be. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Nyamunga Rose Ogendo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to make some comments on this statement by Senator Cherargei. First of all, Madam Speaker, the plight of farmers in this country is not segregated to particular areas. I think that is one thing that touches all parts of this country. And secondly, agriculture or food security is one of the Agenda 4 of the government. I've been wondering that if it is one of the agenda that the government put before it, one of the things that they must fulfill before the end of their term, how come they've not put enough emphasis in helping the farmers? Now, I was wondering, is it not possible, apart from just importing fertilizer, is it not possible for us to produce this fertilizer locally? Because in the Rift Valley, I think we have what it takes for us to produce our own organic fertilizer. If I can do it in a small way in my village, I think the government should be able to galvanize all the waste from our animals, be it the pigs or the cows, and just have proper organic fertilizer for our farm. Secondly, it is not only about the price of fertilizer, it is also the quality. For a long time, we've been getting very, very bad quality. This fertilizer is not for the maize farmers, the tea farmers, the coffee farmers. What of the rice farmers? I mean, the rice farmers. All over, we are now importing rice. And I can say with a lot of certainty that the rice that we consume in this country, 85% is imported. Yet, we have Mwea, we have Ahero, and we have Budalangi. These are areas that we can produce, which we can use to produce. And Kenya being an agricultural land, I think this is a very timely statement, and the government should really come out clearly and tell us what they think of farmers. Because farming is the backbone of this country. Without feeding our people, we cannot stand anywhere and tell anybody that we are a government. So it is important that we take seriously issues of agriculture and more so fertilizer, not only in the price, but the quality. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Cheruiyot Aaron Kipkurui.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a very important issue. Those of you like yourself, Madam Speaker, and maybe a few other colleagues who had the privilege to serve in Parliament during the days of President Mwai Kibaki, know very well that in each year for the 10 years that he was president, fertilizer subsidy program featured prominently, because he recognized a very important role that agriculture plays in our economy. We cannot pride ourselves that agriculture is a backbone of our economy, yet continue to impoverish our farmers. Through one, lack of subsidy, fertilizer is a very important element, as well as all the other farm inputs. If you speak to many of our farmers today, Madam Speaker, and I think this is something that the Committee on Agriculture needs to consider, it's not just about the fertilizer. Even animal feeds and all farm inputs that you can think about, Madam Speaker, our farmers do not benefit any assistance from the government. Wouldn't it have made a lot more sense, Madam Speaker, to say, for example, instead of the 60 billion that you are spending building some of these super expressways, to ensure that you run such a successful subsidy program that enables your farmers to produce more so that they're able to pay more taxes. And once you have enough taxes, Madam Speaker, you are able to build these roads without even having to seek the very expensive loans that you are using. It's unfortunate, and as one of the leaders has observed, Madam Speaker, that actually if you look at how this program has been run down from post-2017, it points to a political malice, Madam Speaker, that someone sat down, considered and blocked the country, looked through the country and realized that perhaps many of the farmers come from a region that someone doesn't like. And it's unfortunate that a leadership can begin to look at its own people based on their political affiliation. It's completely immoral, it is gross, and I hope that when the ministry appears before this committee, they'll come up with a revival plan that will ensure that farmers of tea, maize, and all these other crops are not buying fertilizer at 4,800, 4,900. That is impossible. You cannot break even once you begin to buy a 50 kg bag at 4,900 Kenya shillings. And you're a farmer, Madam Speaker. I'm sure you know this off the top of your head. So, Madam Speaker, please, can we have the Committee on Agriculture speak on behalf of tea farmers, on behalf of coffee farmers, and just overall, on behalf of all of us that represent people who depend on agriculture as their mainstay and as their way of livelihood, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Harkura Godana, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam. Madam Speaker, I'd like to support the statement by Senator Cherargei. Madam Speaker, any sovereign country must be able to feed its people. And sometimes food is even a security issue. And when we claim to be an agricultural country, which actually we are because we have all the capacity, then we must provide the right environment for our farmers to produce. And when you are told that subsidies have been withdrawn, then it means that maybe the food production will go down, we may have to import food, and that will not be good for us. But even as, if you look at this country, 3/4 of this country, about 70% of this country is arid. And with this issue of climate change, we should be moving towards dry area agriculture where we should be thinking of irrigation. That will still require that we have very firm policies on subsidizing food production even in those areas. So I'd like the committee to look at what is actually the government policy in terms of subsidizing our farmers in provision of quality, certified seeds, quality fertilizer, so that way then we can actually invest in food production, we can be a food secure country. So these are very important issues which needs to be looked at, and I hope the committee will come up with very clear answers on the policy of the government, whether it's a policy that subsidy needs to be withdrawn or it's something which just happened by mistake. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, Senator Wetangula Moses Masika. 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also wish to support this statement by the distinguished Senator for Nandi. Madam Speaker, you and I chaired the maize inquiry in the last parliament, in this parliament. And one of the far-reaching recommendations we made was interventions by the government in supporting the farmer, particularly on inputs and in particular fertilizer. That report, Madam Speaker, is gathering dust somewhere. It's a report that was acclaimed by the whole House. But because this House has no implementation committee, there is no follow-up mechanism to see that all those good recommendations are followed. I understand that the business committee has recommended a return of the implementation committee. I hope it does come as soon as is practically possible. Madam Speaker, for a country that is agricultural, a country whose over 70% of our workforce works in the agricultural sector, and for a government committed to creating jobs, that is the area where the focus should be. During the President Kibaki time, Madam Speaker, the cost of fertilizer at peak planting period for maize particularly was 1,600. Now we're buying fertilizer at 4,500, some Shylocks are selling at 5,000. And there is no way, whether you're a tea farmer, you're a coffee farmer, you're a maize farmer, you're a wheat farmer, you are a rice farmer, you can get any return from farming if the input is that high, Madam Speaker. So I support this statement strongly, and the Committee of Agriculture, I don't see Senator Ndwiga here, who is quite active, should look into this and compel the Ministry of Agriculture to institute the subsidy program on seed and fertilizer to help the farmers produce food at affordable cost for Kenyans. Thank you.
One minute to Senator Githu Nguki and 1 minute to Senator Ali Faria. Please
Thank you, Madam Speaker,
statement
for this time, and I rise to support this statement by my brother Cherargei, because, Madam Speaker, some of us, most of us, our parents are farmers, and my mother is a farmer, my father is a farmer, and I really do not understand why my mother should not make profit from her farm. And one of the reasons is because the farm inputs are extremely expensive, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, we must also be very clear and candid and honest to ourselves. It seems as if there are people who are extremely deliberate in killing our agriculture sector, our local farmers, so that they can continue importing what can be locally produced. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I rise to support this statement, and I wish the relevant committee will come up with a very good report on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Faria Ali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, I agree that I support the statement, and I agree that farmers should be subsidized. But I think let's place responsibility where it deserves. Agriculture is fully devolved function. County governments should also do something about this fertilizer issue, because they are on the ground, and they are, instead of stealing the billions, let them invest in their counties so that that money can help their citizens, so that they can enjoy profits and agriculture becomes a viable business. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Abshiro, 1.5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Of course, I support this request and statement by Senator Cherargei, but I'd also like to urge that even as we look at the agriculture sector, which deserves every subsidy, everything, but the people of northern Kenya who are pastoralists also deserve support, subsidies, and especially during this drought season. We want to see government looking at both aspects of agriculture, because agriculture doesn't stop with the crop, it also goes to animals. And for us, from northern Kenya, we have suffered. We want to ensure that our animals are insured, and that inputs that go into livestock keeping are also considered. But that having been said, I think it's an injustice for things that have been supported to be withdrawn, and this must be looked into, especially by both national and county governments. I support, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. We now move to the statement by Senator Kavindu Mudama. You are still online. We hope we can see you so you can read your statement.
Madam Speaker, thank you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, we have not seen you yet. We are waiting to see you.
Yeah, kindly, Madam Speaker, I request that you defer my statement to come up for reading tomorrow.
Thank you, because we cannot
I'll
even
avail
see
myself
you.
in the House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kwamboka, I hear you are online also and you have a statement. Are we able to see you or you read tomorrow? She has moved. Okay, she has left. Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of statement hour.